you have to make sure it's the real thing, okay? And you have to make sure it's the real thing. So you have to bring some kind of proof that it's the real thing. Don't make tapes, do not make records, because if you are caught, if they find those in your house, you will get caught badly. 5-year-old tombs look exactly the same as 1-year-old or 3-month-year-olds. You grab it around here. You grab it here and peel it back like that. This is a trend. We will keep doing it for the fun. And soon, and our next big hit is Houdini. If you're watching this video, then you'll know who it was. Bye-bye.
You know, the internet is pretty large, overwhelmingly so. While it can be home to more welcoming things like cats, cute creatures, funny animations, and really sexy YouTubers you should probably subscribe to, it can also be home to a lot more disturbing things. If you've been online for a while, you might remember when the internet was a lot more lawless. Gore, snuff tapes, exploitive materials. All of it was once just a few clicks away, starting as early as the 1980s on forums. And honestly, scroll long enough on X or Instagram today, and you might come across some stuff you'd really rather not see. But beyond the shocking and the disturbing, there's a side of the internet that's far less talked about. The odd, the bizarre, the mysterious media that doesn't really fit into anything and doesn't really have an explanation. The stuff that feels more like a strange memory than reality. The kind of content that makes you go, what the hell am I watching? And that's exactly what today's topic feels like. A classic internet mystery that has been haunting the internet for literal decades. Possibly one of the oldest internet mysteries known. So, it's the year 2003. April, to be exact. A website called Shocking Videos, advertising itself as the #1 source for rare and hard-to-find movies and videos on the World Wide Web, makes a post listing several odd VHS tapes. Stuff that, in their words, doesn't quite fit anywhere else. And among that list was named a title, Grave Robbing for Morons. And this is quite possibly the earliest known mention of a video that would spark decades of speculation. So you might be asking yourself, well, what is this video? Because I didn't know it existed until recently. It's roughly a 26-minute video with handheld footage of a young man awkwardly explaining how to rob graves, all while messing around with what appears to be a real human skull and bones. The vibe of the video is, to me, a little less creepy and more weird. Very weird. His explanations throughout the video feel largely unrehearsed, and he seems to struggle with his speech, possibly having a stutter. And to me, a lot of what he was saying just didn't really make sense. It kind of felt like we were just dropped into the middle of something. And since the first known appearance online, this video has been passed around VHS trading communities, reposted across forums like 4chan and Reddit, and eventually was uploaded to YouTube in its entirety in 2014, where you can still go watch the full thing. And at first glance, you might be like, this is fake, but there's actually a lot to unpack here. So let's take a little bit of a deeper look. Obviously, because this video is so weird and rambly and long, not a lot of people want to watch the full 26 minutes. So the guy starts to give his full name.
This was made by Anthony. Well, as a matter of fact, let's forget the last name. It's Anthony and Gino, okay?
Before he abruptly stops himself, probably because he realizes he's identifying himself, and that's probably not the smartest thing to do when you're making a video concerning illegal activities. The person behind the camera is named Gino. At one point, you briefly see him, but the video quality is so bad you can't really make much out.
This is made by us too.
Yo, check it out. If they get something new, you have to bring some kind of tool, man, because to get the head off, like, this is so old that you can just pull the head off. Something with skin on it still, man, you have to rip it apart. You have to get
Bring
a hatchet or something.
Anthony mentions a couple of other names, Taco and Pucci, people who apparently help with the grave robbing.
Also Pucci and Daco also helped it at the very beginning.
And online, people have largely agreed that his accent is that of someone from New York, possibly Queens or Brooklyn. This is further supported as in the video, the individual mentions their next big hit is Houdini's, the escape artist's, grave, which is located in a particular cemetery in Queens, New York.
And our next big hit is Houdini.
His knuckles look bruised or bloody or maybe dirty, like they were just digging around in dirt.
This right here is my blood, so don't fake that, you know, for blood of the person, alright, because they have no blood.
But because the quality of this video is so low, it's kind of hard to make out what we're actually seeing. We know that VHS tapes degrade over time, so it could just be that the color grading is really off. He awkwardly explains how you prep the bones that you've stolen for black markets.
So when you find it, okay, the jaw is usually like that. I'm around this shape, okay? It's like that, okay. So now when you first find it, you might have to do some fixtures, okay, and put a spring on the sides, so that way, you know, it'll open it up, all right, and shut for show. Okay, so you grab it like that and pull it forward, or so you'll have the backbone like this, all right, and you'll have ribs. Now, if you want, you can try diluted bleach on it, okay? You dip it in there for a few seconds, alright, so wash it off, alright, then afterwards you dip it back in, wash it off. Make sure the bone does not get that soft with water, or else after a while this will be very fragile.
Even giving advice of what to do if you're caught. You knock those people out. Solid advice.
Never leave witnesses. If you have to knock them out so that way they think it's a dream. It's best not to kill, but if it's necessary, do it.
His handling of the skull and other bones is violently uncomfortable to watch, like he's getting all up in the nose area.
You grab it by the eyes or the nose, you pull it out, put your finger all the way in. There is nothing there that will hurt you at all.
And this is because it looks so real. And furthering that, let's talk about the skull. A quote from Forensic, a website I use for my research. The skull is matted and stained by rotted flesh. It has a dental appliance screwed into its facilitate top dentures, indicating it belonged to an elderly person. The skull also likely belonged to a woman. The ocular cavities are large with a small brown line, both indicative of a female skull. One part of the skull that is never talked about is the fact that it features an elongated styloid process bone, also known as Eagle syndrome, a condition that can occur in human beings after they experience a throat injury.
To make sure that it's authentic, or you take the dentures and you make sure they're with them, so that way the person knows who this person is, alright? Alright, because sometimes you go and you risk your ass looking for somebody, alright? And somebody might be paying some serious money for it. So you have to make sure it's the real thing, okay? And you have to make sure it's the real thing. So you have to bring some kind of proof that it's the real thing.
No one was faking skulls with that level of detail back then, and I'd argue that no one is even doing that now. Even with all the amazing FX artists we have in this current year, 2025, a lot of fake skulls are not up to that quality and realism. So yeah, the remains being handled throughout this tape are probably real. So because this has been decades of mystery surrounding this, let's take a look at the timeline. So, well, it first appeared in 2003, possibly earlier, we just haven't found any traces of it. It's believed the video was filmed in the late 1980s to early 90s. What's that I hear? Why? Well, there's a VHS copy of Evil Dead 2 visible in the shot, and the VHS was released in 1987, so we know it's sometime after 1987. But later in the tape, you can spot a Fangoria FX magazine, meaning the video had to be 1989 or later, at least according to the internet. And people online just generally agree it was the late 80s to 90s because of the hair, the clothing, and the aforementioned objects. And yes, this does look like a genuine VHS recording, not an artificially degraded video like some have suggested. The generational loss of quality lines up what happens with your typical tape, the more it's copied and pasted around for years.
Hi, I'm Jaffe Riddle. What you are about to see is an example of recursive VHS degradation. Right now, you are looking at Generation 1. The picture and the sound are still completely clean. But if we switch over to a second generation copy, we see the apparent loss in picture quality, and the sound has now also lost some clarity. If we continue this trend, more and more generational loss will take its toll on the recording. Shall we begin?
It was probably tape to tape to tape to tape to then online. From there, it's just been degraded over time. So we might be scratching our little tiny heads and asking ourselves, is this real? Let's weigh the possibilities like any good little detectives would do. Some think this was a high school short film project, which could make sense, made by some kids trying to be edgy. And some people have even wondered if it's been artificially degraded to look like it's much older than it actually is, in an attempt to film a fake tutorial to get passed around through the bootleg, weird VHS, creepy communities. People will do a lot for internet notoriety. I don't think this really holds up, because as I said before, the loss of quality is consistent with that of a VHS. The hair, the clothing, even the random Evil Dead stuff, like that's something that would take a lot of research. And if this was first posted in 2003, people didn't have as much easy access to stuff like we do now, so researching genuine 80s clothes, while it is possible, it doesn't really hold up in my opinion. But the question that remains is, if this was filmed in the 80s or early 90s, how on earth would they get real human remains? Well, fun fact, eBay was selling human bones as recently as 2016, which went for generally thousands of dollars. Pretty sure they released a statement about this when they decided to put a cap on that market. So technically, it's possible they could have obtained one without grave robbing. Especially because, like, eBay and stuff back in the day was like a Wild West type of situation. The way he talks about selling bones to magic shops feels kind of fake, kind of silly.
So you go to like a magic shop where they like skulls and everything for rituals. Okay, so I think you could get around 250 for one of these. If you get a leg bone and it's carved into a necklace or something, you might get around 650 for it. It's really worth it because a lot of people won't do this, and you know, and this is worth a lot of money and everything because it's real. So like a lot of people will pay some serious money for it. So what you do is you sell it. Do not put your real name or anything. So while you're in the shop or even in the neighborhood, do not say your real name or anything. Or if you have friends with you, ask them to switch your name or something like that.
Because even back then, how easy would it be to find a shop that would not only buy the remains of a human being, not call into question where did you get the remains of said human being? How would you possibly find one like this just casually strolling down the street and say, oh, a magic shop where they take real human bones? Like, what's the likelihood of that really happening? I, living in the modern age, would have no idea where to find something like that. Although city people do be different. Plus, you know, he makes comments and remarks throughout the video that feels like typical teenage stuff. Like getting laid before you do your grave robbing.
The night before you do it, you should get laid. You should get laid because that exercises certain muscles, and as a matter of fact, you do have a lot more energy, because I don't know why, it seems to exercise a lot of the muscles that you have, and the next day you somehow do have a lot of energy and everything, and there's a lot of things you might have to do while you're getting this out.
It just seems kind of silly and out of place. It's this weird clash between awkward teenage prank, short film project, and just a genuinely unsettling video that makes grave robbing for morons so hard to explain, and so intriguing. So, given given the age of this mystery, the internet has run itself wild with possibilities, most of which have been debunked. So our most popular one is that dear old Anthony is Anthony Casamassima. Sorry if I'm saying his name wrong, since again, in the video, he almost said his full name.
This was made by Anthony well, as a matter of fact, let's forget the last name.
Someone eventually led to the discovery of this other Anthony, who in 1993 was caught robbing a Tiffany glass window from a Salem Field cemetery on the Brooklyn-Queens border. This man, however, never stole bodies, but rather stuff that he would then resell to dealers. But the timeline doesn't quite match up on that one. He was 40 years old in 1999. If grave robbing for morons was recorded in the 80s or even 90s, that would place him in his 30s. This guy is definitely not in his 30s, and if he is, he looks incredibly young, I guess. Anything's possible. But thanks to the work of our amazing Redditor who worked on this story, they found photos of Anthony Casamassima, and they don't really look like the same person to me, so we largely believe this has been debunked. So, someone on YouTube on the video itself made the claim that they know who this guy is. This guy with the grave robberies is from Red Hook, Brooklyn, goes by the name of Screws. He's been dead damn near 20 years now. He used to sell bones to some of the Hugans over in Sheepshead Bay. I'm surprised that no one knew that. Common knowledge by me. It's common knowledge around me. I'm from Ozone Park originally. It was the local scuttlebutt back in the early 90s when I was a teenager. He ran a chop shop too, back in the day. Bootleg movies, knockoff clothes, you name it. That's how he got the nickname Screws. He used to screw everyone over. From what I've heard, they found him over in Whitestone in a dumpster by the bridge with his knees parallel with his ears. He'd been bent backwards in the wrong direction. His head was resting against his ears. There's no proof either way of this ever actually occurring, and the level of detail made people determine that this one is also fake. So easy to lie in a comment section. You don't have to prove what you're saying at all. So deeper into our theories, two other names pop up as possibly being him. So we have Craig A. Bradley, a man who was arrested in 1995 for stealing human remains from Oswego Cemetery Mausoleum in upstate New York. There's articles about this man and pictures of him, but pictures of him don't appear to look like the individual in the video. There's even a video interview of him here where he does not have the recognizable stutter. But of course, a stutter can be cured or disappear over years.
Usually, winter months I'm laid off. So winter months, I don't usually pay. Judge Hafner's been aware of this. I mean, it's not the first time this has happened. Why it got so dramatic is beyond me.
The author of this post didn't think that was him, but he was born in 1966. And then we have Matthias Freias. In 1991, a homeless man named Matthias Freias, aged 21, stole at least 5 skulls from Brooklyn's Cypress Hill Cemetery, New York. He admitted stealing the skulls and washing them in his mother's backyard in Woodhaven before selling them. He was also arrested in 2019 for domestic assault, and there's an article providing a picture of him. And quoting the Redditor who wrote this post up directly, this is the same Matthias Freias as the 1991 grave robbery, as the ages match up between articles, as well as the fact I located him on Facebook, and he even shared one of the original articles on his account. It seems he's a very mentally troubled individual. I believe he's actually currently going through a court case at the moment for this incident. Could this be the individual in the video? The age and location makes sense. Do you think the photograph of him looks similar? He seems to be one of the most convincing theories, but who knows for certain? And our final theory is because of a DVD called Ensuring Your Place in Hell Part 1, a lot of people began to theorize that this was a short film made to look real. We mentioned this previously. Ensuring Your Place in Hell was a compilation of several videos, including Grave Robbing for Morons, Mortuary of the Dead, Cooking with Huck Botko, and Exploding Varmints. They're 4 random tapes that were made into a compilation and sold, and 2 of them have actually been debunked and explained. I don't really want to look into any of these videos because I don't know if I'm going to see Exploding Varmints. And in relation to this, an official IMDb page was made for Grave Robbing for Morons, with Christopher Pucci being named as the director. This man himself has denied any connection to this whatsoever, which if he was behind it even a little bit, why would he deny it? But anyone can go to IMDb and list someone as a creator if the material is non-copyright. According to this Reddit user, however, I am not entirely sure. I mean, really, at the end of all this, this stands as one of the oddest things I think I've ever covered so far. Because really, there's like zero explanation for it. You know, you can't be like, oh yeah, super fake, or yeah, clearly an art project like I did with I Feel Fantastic. This is the first time I genuinely don't know. I think it's possible that they bought human remains, however they may have gone about that, but something about this being dug up just comes across as a little far-fetched to me. But remember, getting away with crimes in the 80s and 90s was a lot easier than it is now. This is one of those things that people have researched and tried to dig up on, and I just feel like there's never going to be a lot of information surrounding it itself. You know, source material, how was the website it was uploaded to in 2003 the first ever upload, or were there things prior to that? Who submitted it and why? Why from the year, 1980 to 2003 did someone even think to submit this to this page? The only way I think we could ever really find out is if the creators of this video spoke out directly. Which, if it is human remains, they may not want to come out and be like, yeah, I was touching a dead body. Yeah, it's one of those things that really bothers me because there's not like a conclusive, it's this, it's that. But, as I said, I am thoroughly convinced those are actual human remains because of the level of detail on these bones. Maybe one day we'll find out the truth, but for now, we have quite the long mystery on our hands. So there we freaking go. This is like what number are we up to for these videos? I think this is our 5th video of this series now. This is probably one of my favorite series. So if you're new here and you're like, I've never seen this series in my life, this is a newer series on my channel that I started back in January, where we explore the weird, the creepy, the mysterious, the unexplained. And this is our 5th episode now. So yeah, if you want to go check out the other 4 episodes, they will be linked down below. These are the type of things that take a ton of research. They're written as accurately as possible, but with stuff like this, it's so easy to overlook information or to get potentially false info because a lot of these things are just like people's inferred opinions. It's not an absolute fact either way. So it's really easy to get stuff wrong. So if you see something wrong, let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, this takes a ton of research, a ton of time, a lot of writing, a lot of work to get ready for a video, not to mention all the editing I gotta do. This is probably one of my top 3 series on this channel, so if you like the series, or you like me, and you just want to see more in general, there's a couple things you can do for me. Number 1, you can like the video to let me know if you liked this type of content. Number 2, you can subscribe and join me on this YouTube journey. Number 3, you can comment down below your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions, or things you want to see in the future. And if you're too like, I don't really like commenting, there will be a Google Forms down below that you can fill out, and that will be linked down below. Just be nice, be sweet, be kind. And yeah, if there is any information I need to correct, it will be in a pinned comment down below. But again, a lot of research goes into these, so I kind of feel like I didn't overlook too much. Yeah, that's gonna do it for us tonight, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully you all enjoyed, and hopefully I will see you all here next time.